It's official. This is Cross's main game. Whoa! Oh, I want to steer away from all that. I wouldn't necessarily say this is my main game. I don't think we quote unquote main anything yet or anymore. But what I can say, we are ending this server slam. I have seen emotions go all over the place this past weekend. I don't know if y'all have been paying attention, like whether it's been Twitter, Reddit, other YouTube videos. The wave of videos that hit probably Friday of Marathon is shit, Dead on Arrival, Concord 2 or 3 or whichever number. So many. But strangely enough, about Saturday going into Sunday, it was like something had flipped. I don't know if those players learned how to play the game. Maybe they got a good couple runs. Maybe they adhere to what the game is trying to offer, which is, you know, a more brutal extraction shooter than maybe what they were originally anticipating. But I felt like people's thoughts just kind of flipped over the weekend. And it's not saying that people are jumping up and saying, oh my God, it's game of the year or anything. But I just noticed there were a lot of people actually saying they were enjoying Marathon. My experience this weekend, guys, I've really enjoyed myself. Like I've had a very good time playing Marathon, enough to the point where I'm very much looking forward to the launch coming this Thursday. And I actually am happy that originally I was worried that the server slam was too close to launch. I'm happy that I don't have to wait that many days. So we just have a few days here before we get into the Thursday launch. I had a good time, and that doesn't mean it's perfect. Obviously, like I completely understand some of y'all's thoughts on like UI stuff. You know, recently when I was looking at my weapons, I even was like, I hate having to go through my vault and find mods that work on my weapons. It turns out there's an ability here that you can just select all of the mods that are applicable to your weapon. So little things like that I feel like, you know, will pick up the experience for people. And then playing, you know, if you're playing solos, yeah, the game kind of does turn into a bit of a horror game. We played solos, and I'm gonna be honest, pure solos to me is scarier than rook runs. Rook runs are definitely, you know, the odds are stacked against you in your rook runs if you were looking to engage with other people. But pure solo runs are just scary because everybody is ratting. Whereas rook runs, you actually at least know where other teams are because there's just so many people and their presence is just easier to detect, and you can make adjustments. But I do believe that the best experience is trios, playing with a squad. I have a lot of fun just jumping in, and you know, and the fights get pretty intense. Some of them are, you know, pretty rage inducing because you get third party, it sucks. But at the same time, those moments where you clutch it up and you come out on top, damn, it's a good feeling. And even more so than that, when you go in with a, you know, potentially even a mediocre loadout, and you somehow sneak a purple shield team or higher or something like that, and you get their loot, dude, you're back on top again. Now, I've heard some things, some suggestions, and some things I've seen are, could they add duos? And I think Bungie is looking to adding duos. You know, I guess my question to you guys, would you want duos? Would you prefer duos? Yeah, I mean, I will say finding one other friend, it's easier to find two other friends. You know what I mean? We're in a strange way, we're kind of like in a Trials of Osiris situation where Bungie's going to have to balance solos, duos, and trios, right? But I think throwing that option in there is still a good option nonetheless. One thing that I would ask Bungie to add, and I don't know if they're going to add this or not, or if even at this point, if it's even possible to add for launch, a shooting range would be nice. And I know my Destiny players are like, Cross, we waited a decade to get a shooting range. But as you know, Marathon gets all the new stuff and they get it fast. A shooting range would be amazing. As we acquire more and more loot, I've lost all my gold stuff by this point over the past weekend, but it would be nice when I acquire gold mods to just go into a shooting range and test it out. You know what I mean? Get a feel of it before going and risking it. And, you know, essentially just, you know, you can just give us what Arc Raiders has. You know what I mean? An ability to load in with ammo. You could try out all your stuff and then just a test dummy. And that's also, as Destiny players, like everybody in Destiny community loves data. People will sit here and shoot a shotgun literally 1,000 times to see what the exact kill range for that shotgun is. And then the crazy thing is Destiny players who are playing Marathon will also tune in to know what those kill ranges are. And the same with like recoil, pellet spread, bullet spread, everything. So like having a testing range would be great for the number crunchers to really narrow in on like what is the most optimal builds and mod combinations. So this past weekend, I would say out of everything, trios I had the most fun with. Solos was okay, especially for the experience. But even beyond trios, the Rook experience has been my favorite, guys. Something about going in with a Rook and blending in with UESC bots and then having the potential to 1v3 a team is so much fun, dude. It's crazy that Rook was almost not going to be a thing in this game. And I think once we get into the main game, I've noticed there was a lot of people using proxy. But when we get into the main game, when items are on the line and people really don't want to die, I promise they're going to be hitting proxy chat. But back to Rook. Rook is by far my favorite. So much so that we're actually going to be talking about Rook here in the next few days. Rook is the most fun I have inside a marathon. Now, a question that was brought up, will Rook be able to drop into ranked? I would love it. I think that would spice things up a lot, dude. Because a Rook can take out a team. The thing is like, how do you drop a Rook into rank? Because they're not supposed to be able to get quest progress, faction progress, or even, I guess, rank progress. So you would be there just to scavenge, just to take loot. But dude, Rook runs inside of ranked where there's gear ante. I know Rook doesn't meet the gear ante, but if Rooks could still be allowed to drop into rank runs, imagine going in as a Rook and looting gold stuff from dead bodies, or maybe even taking out a team. What is gear ante? So when this game launches, guys, you're going to have 2 other maps. Marathon map is supposed to roll out, I think, a week after launch. I don't know for certain. But then you have gear, or you have rank. And in order to jump into rank, you must meet a certain gear threshold. So right here, you see my loadout value is 7.2K. It may be, 5,000, maybe even 10,000, but you have to have a certain amount of gear or wealth of gear in order to even jump into certain aspects of rank. Now, why is this good? It separates the super sweaty players from the people that just want to jump in and get some shit. All the sweaty people are going to be jumping into rank. They want the flex, they want the cosmetics that go along with it, and the potential for huge upside, right? So I'm not gonna say that there's not gonna be pup stomping still, but a lot of your really good players are going to prefer to jump into rank more, and so that will allow your more casual players to have hopefully a better experience on the other maps. And I also think that once Outpost and Marathon ship drops too, I think most people are, as soon as they hit purple gear, dude, they're going to be going to those maps. I mean, if it was available this past weekend during the server time, we would have as well. Let me pull this up. We were planning on making a video about this. So overall, I've had a great experience playing Marathon this week. Of course, we had some terrible runs there, some awful loss streaks, but overall, it was great runs. Now, I want to show y'all some things that I saw, and I just been kind of collecting a few things. This was actually one of them, and tell me y'all's thoughts on this. So on the topic of suggestions, again, at the top of the list, I would love a shooting range. Second thing, Rilo actually brought this up. I hate this mechanic. We should be allowed to keep money valuables and sell them when we want. Having a case full of bear buddies or figurines and Tarkov is one of the most fun ways to create attachment to the game world out of the raids. So when you extract with a high value item, it auto sells. It's not like at the top of the to-do list probably, but I guess for some of you that wants to keep an entire vault of an emotional support plushie, would you prefer to have the option to manually sell that? Just having it as an option. It's a little cute thing, right? If you want to, keep all these little high value items, maybe you just want to I personally don't have enough vault space to do it, but if that's you, great. A second thing that I saw brought up, this was a really cool little look here of a potential UI change. So this was shared by Marathon Media. They said Reddit users shared a new UI suggestion for Marathon, focused on improving weapon ship readability. So if you look at it now, this is the system now, and this was the system that this guy proposed. Notice the icons. See the icons here that change, also representing what each icon does. I think that's and I'm not saying that this is perfect, guys. Look at this and notice that there's hardly any variability here, right? It's not end of the world, but it gives you a little bit of visual representation of what the mods are. Granted, anytime you ever want to look up how to, change weapon mods, you should go into the weapon itself, right? Slightly better in my opinion. They're different shapes though. Yeah, guys, I mean, look, I'm not saying that this system is a game-breaking system, you know what I mean? But I think suggestions like this or little refinements, right, that can make Marathon better. So I like it. Who's going to spend that much time looking at mods when they're getting shot at? Yeah, I mean, this right here could allow you to recognize immediately if you're trying to specifically go for a mod. Obviously, inside a Marathon, it really is just bigger color, better. You know what I mean? I see a purple, I'm going to grab it just about every single time. This is purely because people don't want to read. Oh my God, are we really debating about this, guys? It's not the end of the world. If fucking Bungie came out here and just updated some of these goddamn icons, guys, it's not the end of the world. All right? Obviously, people are not reading, but it's still it's still a good change in my opinion. I think this right here would give further clarity. That way, people could just grab what they need. The last suggestion that I've seen, and I have not played on controller, but I've been told that swapping items back and forth on controller, specifically when you're out in the field and you've killed someone and you're looting, I've been told that it takes a long time. I don't know. I haven't played with controller, but if there's a way to, I wouldn't even say auto loot, but just button presses there, boom, 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 get the items in. You know what I mean? It's not bad on controller. It feels disgusting on controller. You see where I'm coming from. I mean, get a lot of different dots in here on the controller experience. The cursor speed on controller is slow. Yeah, I mean, maybe they can just speed that up, but you know, simplifying that, making it better for controller players, I think would be nice. Outside of that, man, the last thing I would say is Bungie, just cook. You obviously have a vision. At first, I'm gonna be clear, the vision really wasn't resonating, but it almost reminds me of Destiny's launch, where people went through the campaign. We sat around kind of like, what the hell is that? Is that it? In this case, it's more of a skill curve thing. You know, it's once people understood what they were playing, I think they started to enjoy it more, at least from what I've observed. And I hope to see, you know, that enjoyment carry over into the main launch. But what I would say is, Bungie, you got a vision on rank, you got a vision on outposts and the marathon ship, and this cryo lab and raid mechanics and whatever else. Full send it, man. You know, and hopefully it hits. Hopefully it hits. I would say that I enjoyed playing this past weekend on just Perimeter and Dire Marsh. Definitely couldn't play that all the time, but I think whatever those other two maps, that's going to be pivotal, especially the marathon ship map. And then we're also supposed to be getting some other enemy type. And then even beyond that, the seasonal narrative progression roadmap. Like, what's the play on that? I think this game is going to change so much just as the weeks go on, because eventually you're gonna pull up streams like you saw, you know, maybe even this past weekend, of people, you know, using normal weapons, right? And then you're gonna pull up someone else's stream who's loaded out with gold shit, who's gonna be doing crazy stuff. And that right there, man, that's the most exciting aspect of Marathon to me, is getting fully kitted in gold gear. And then what's the crazy shit that you can possibly pull off with those setups. The ceiling for the game is so high. Yeah, it is, man. It is. And that's also what makes it appealing. What I will say, I feel like there's been a lot of Destiny players playing this past weekend, especially PvP players. And I think the Destiny PvP players are going to be eating pretty well in this game. You know, you've seen like Frost doing very, very well. ZK, Benny, the Fizzle's been popping off and grinding. You know what I mean? There's a lot of just Destiny PvP players that I feel like have transitioned so well into Marathon. I think they're going to do really well here. And then other people, dude, we played with Crafty this past weekend, and you know, to see him back over here is awesome as well. So yeah, that's it, man. I've enjoyed my time, and I would say that Bungie full send it. I'm looking forward to the launch. We'll see what shakes out, man. We'll see what shakes out. But to me, you know, a lot of the narrative surrounding this game being dead on arrival or a flop, no. I mean, if that was the case, then why did so many of us, and so many of us did, we put in 40, 50 hours this past weekend, you know, and that's a server slam. And I was even trying to dial it back. And I was like, I don't want to burn out right now before this game drops. I got a lot of people in here that's got a lot of words to say. What I can tell you is that Marathon, definitively, like if I was to sit down, write a novel, okay, and then another novel about extraction shooters, comparatively of another novel about arc raiders, holistically, truthfully, Marathon is better. Now look, here's where Marathon may not be better for you. I see arc raider players going to therapy on a weekly basis, right? They say things like, someone was mean to me, and then I'm like, oh, what happened? Well, I was playing solos, and a guy came around the corner and he shot. It's like, oh, he shot you? No. He shot around me. He got scared too, but he shot around me, and it just terrified me. And now I don't know. I don't know if I can go back in again. I don't know if I can do it. If you're that kind of player, then I don't know if Marathon's for you, because it's on site. I just want you to know, in Marathon, it's on site. Yeah, and I will look, man. Marathon's going to expose PvP skill. I mean, it's going to do that. It's going to make you feel like a shit player. But dude, it don't matter, man. Look, hear me out. It don't matter if you a shit player or not. If you a shit player, but you can rat, brother. You wait. You blend in with the grass. All right? You sit and wait. You watch the body. And that guy comes back to res his teammate, and you stab him in the back. Look, that's all you gotta be, dude. You don't gotta be good, brother. You don't have to be that big of a gamer. You just wait. Patience. Patience, and then you walk away with the loot. I'm gonna be very clear to my Destiny community, though. Deep down, no matter what, your boy wants more Destiny, okay? What I'm trying to say is, over the next few months, if you feel that I have abandoned you, I have not. I'm just waiting for when Destiny actually brings us some stuff. In the meantime, I'm not just going to sit around, right? I'm gonna play Marathon and other games, of course, right? But if you're expecting me to jump back in and do another Grandmaster Nightfall on Tuesday or play Trials on Friday, boys, it's got to be a damn good reason. You know where I'm coming from? I'm not gonna. I don't have any plans to do that. It's got to be a damn good reason. Marathon is still top 3 global seller on a top seller on Steam. Dude, I've seen so much misinformation online, man. It's crazy, man. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Look, if you had a good time this weekend, that tells you something. And if it's a good enough time that you want to jump back in this week, all right. If you're looking at a game, you're like, I'm not going to get into it unless it's a top 5 selling game. Oh my God, dude. If you had that mentality, fuck me, dude. You know how many great games you would miss out? So many fantastic games you would miss out on if that was your filtration system.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.